Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria also shows Nigeria's external reserves fell by $317 million in the month of February to $36.67 billion. Bosun Obembe, money market trader at Axis Bank, now joins me now for more on this. Bosun, thank you so much for joining us. Let's have your first reaction to the Supreme Court's judgment, expecting to see the old 200, 500 and 1,000 naira notes remain legal tender by the end of the year, and the system liquidity we've witnessed in the market so far.
Thank you for having me. So regarding the impact of the ruling on the liquidity, like you mentioned, the liquidity is over 1 trillion, and because of the cash that was mopped by the CBN from the circulation actually contributed to this. So with this ruling, though we will see maybe some of this liquidity being taken out, because if the CBN starts circulating the whole naira notes back into the system, the system liquidity will come down, but it will not be material. So we don't expect it to have material impact on the market. However, it will have maybe impact on the banking system in terms of maybe there will be a reduction in the queue that we've witnessed in recent times.
And in my previous conversation with Ayodejebo, you made mention of the NAFEX rate, and looking at the fact that the importers and exporters FX window has remained illiquid for some time now. What's your forecast going forward?
For now, my forecast, I don't expect most of the foreign investors to actually come back in the near time. Probably when the new government, when they look at the outlook based on the new government, then they cannot decide to start coming in. And then, like you mentioned, the high earning window has been illiquid for over 2 years. CBN has been the major contributor in this market, and it has sustained its intervention. Today, there will be a retail intervention. CBN will sell both spot and forward to importers and to customers. So, but this is not something sustainable. So in the long run, we still expect the foreign portfolio investors and exporters, when we start to see the impact of the RT200, so we start to see the impact, then there will be a lot of liquidity coming into the high earning window. But for now, the high earning window has remained relatively illiquid, with few counterparties bringing money just to clear their obligation. So probably before the end of the year, when the yield is quite attractive, because if you look at the yield at the NTB stop at 9.9 the last auction, and if you look at the inflation above 21%, and that's negative real return for any investor thinking to maybe do carry trade. So until the yield improves, we might not see the portfolio investor coming back.
Okay, now, Bosun, wrapping up, Nigeria is also planning to raise about 1.1 trillion naira from T-bills by the end of the second quarter of this year. Now, in terms of the expectation, what's in the forecast and the hindsight of market watchers? What will play out next week? What should we be looking at?
For next week, we expect the rate will be driven by the system liquidity. Like I mentioned, today we opened about is over 1 trillion. So by next week, today there is retail auction, a lot of liquidity will be taken out, and there is CRR debit that will happen today. So depending on what the system liquidity opens with on Monday, that will determine what the rate will be. If the system liquidity has gone down significantly, then the rate will probably get to double digit or maybe 10%. However, if the system liquidity is tight, I expect the stop rate at the auction to close lower than the previous one. So what DMO is doing is just refinancing. It's not as if DMO is trying to take money out of the system. So we have to try to be maturing. So they are issuing that one to replace what's maturing. So system liquidity will determine what the rate will be. So.
Thank you so much for your time at the show today, Bosun. That was Bosun Obembe, money market trader at Axis Bank.